Hi and welcome to the 6th episode of Theory of Counter-Strike. This is cArn speaking. It's been a couple of months since my last episode, number 5. And the simple reason is because I've been busy traveling the world and competing. Besides that, I had some promotion in Taipei, which you might have followed in my video blog I did recently as well. Life of cArn is also accessible at fnatic.com. And also, of course, it's summertime. I went back to Sweden for a few weeks, visiting my family and friends, and had a super nice time. So that was kind of the reasons for the lack of new episodes. But I'm extremely thankful that people are still asking for the series and giving me ideas what I can do next. And before this episode, I asked my Facebook followers at facebook.com/cArnCS which kind of episode they want me to create. The most people seems to be very curious and keen to hear about configs and settings. So I thought I would dedicate this 6th episode of ToCS to setting up a new computer and making it ready for competitive Counter-Strike. For me, it probably takes 5 or 6 minutes in front of a new computer to have it ready to play. But of course, this is a guide, so I'm gonna try explain a bit why and how I'm changing my settings to this way I'm changing it to. Without further ado, we're gonna change the screen here and go to my Windows. To save some time, I prepared a bit. I downloaded the Fnatic MSI GUI 2011. You can as well download ESL GUI. I recommend both. And then you simply open it with your zip browser, choosing your resolution here. Personally, I'm using 640 to 480 right now. And sorry, we go back here. And you simply drag and drop the Counter-Strike folder from the zip file to your Steam apps folder. And make sure you are replacing any single file. And that's about it. I mean, 1 minute download, 10 seconds installing, and then you are ready and set for the proper settings of Counter-Strike. But the next thing I do is not to start Counter-Strike. I usually go to the NVIDIA settings. I restore it to default. You might also have ATI computers sometimes, but it kind of works a similar way. So once more, I restore it to default. Then I go to vertical sync. This is the only 3D settings I change. I force it off. And then I go to the color settings where you can adjust the gamma. I also restore that. And I force it to 125, the gamma that said, which gives me an easier time to spot enemies on far distances and in dark areas of the map. Increase the digital vibrance a bit, doesn't really help spotting your enemies, but it gives the game a bit more colorful tone, so to speak. Go apply. Graphic card is set up for Counter-Strike, in my case at least, and this is kind of the standard setting that most players uses. The next thing, we go to the Steam library. We are finding Counter-Strike, of course, and we're going to the launch options. My launch options looks like this. It's no force and params, no force and axle, console and FREC 100. We're starting with the first two ones. This is simply disabling the Windows acceleration. And this is a command that I'd say 93.5% of all professional players use. You don't want to have acceleration in game because I personally think it's a bit random when you cannot be sure that your mouse is moving the way you want it to move. Console is just to access the console. You don't really need that anyway. FREC 100 makes the monitor refresh at 100 times per second. Is that correct? Yes, it is correct. normal monitors can, I mean normal LCD monitors probably at 75 Hertz. By the time I have to use this, I use 75. Can use that today, it's not a biggie. Well, we use 100, whatever. Press OK. Launch options is done. I will not have any acceleration. Just to double check, I go to the mouse. I can write in, I think it's both Windows Vista and Windows 7. You can write in this way. You write mouse, and you go here. And I usually go here to the furthest left bar, and I press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is also the default Windows sense. And this is something the mouse manufacturers recommend you to use. Instead, you should increase the sensitivity on the hardware of the mouse to avoid any kind of delays in the software. So on the 6th mark, I put my sensitivity at, press OK, and we go to stream software. Gonna make ready to start Counter-Strike, which takes us here. Counter-Strike. Voila, here we go. As you can see, the Fnatic MSI GUI 2011 is installed. I'm gonna shrink the console a bit. I'm also gonna decrease the sound so you can hear me. Of course, this is my team's GUI, and I have my config pre-installed on this zip file. So I write cArn. This is something everybody can do. Of course, writing cArn will access my config, but you can also put in your config and add it to the GUI. But you have to read the README before you do that. Need to go volume 0 again. Sorry, a bit Swedish here. Options, and as you can see, my settings are preloaded. My config is preloaded. As you can see, I have assigned. I both have my keys and my normal command WASD for movement, and this is something I have so I can like kind of run from the bases when I'm chatting or something. I can use the arrows. Jump is the first important. Of course, every command is important here when it comes to movement, but this is something I want to stress extra much. The jump command, my standard key for a very long time was mouse 2. This is something I kind of took from being a Quake World player back in the 90s, when everybody was shooting with mouse 1 and jumping with mouse 2, and you jump like crazy. Counter-Strike is a different game, different physics of the game as well. And recent years, the professional players or the jump gods whatsoever found out that the best jump key is to bind it to the scroll, and not the scroll button but the scroll wheel. And this kind of makes the jump acts like a script for you. Still it's legal, but the timing between the jumps is so much easier by having it on the scroll. So basically this allows you to have a better timing between the jumps, and it's gonna increase the speed of the jumps as well, unless you are a master and can do this by mouse 2. But it is a much bigger effort by having it on a normal key such as space or mouse 2. But of course you should keep it on the both ones, because sometimes you are very used to mouse 2. So sometimes I would say 95% of the moments I use the wheel, and 5% of the moments I use mouse 2, depending on what I'm doing in game. Moving on to the duck key, the Russian jump key. Control is probably the most common key if you use the WASD for movement. Not a biggie. Shift is my walk key. Shooting with mouse 1, blah blah blah. I should not talk too much about my config. Special function space, which means zoom and changing from burst fire to semi-automatic. I had this on space. Many players has it on mouse 2. Let's find another important command. Select team is useful to have somewhere distant from your movement keys or your writing keys. So I put it on the keypad, which is the home key. So I cannot really accidentally press it and change team in the middle of game. The tab key is important to have next to your movement keys or your mouse, so you can access the score bar basically, so you can see how many enemies that are remaining or teammates. use button at E, standard. Here comes an interesting part. Here's the quick switch key settings. As you can see, I don't really care about the primary weapon, the secondary weapon, or the knife, because I have it up here. But what I do, which I think I'm fairly unique about, is that I have my flashbang and smoke grenade bind to my mouse. It can also be, it can be located anywhere, you can access it easily, but I have it on my mouse, which kind of enables me, as you can see on my mouse now, on my SteelSys sensor mouse, I can switch between the proper grenade I want to access. So if I want to have the smoke grenade, I press up here, and if I want to have, so I just jump between them instead of going for the fourth slot, which the normal player use, which is up here, because then you have to go through all the grenades because they gather under one category. Instead, I can access it quick by just, especially important if you are a bomb site B holder. When you're alone holding a bomb site, you want to have the proper grenade as quick as possible. It's a matter of a couple of milliseconds probably, but it can be useful to have, so I recommend people to have that. Not sure why I have the radio command. It's probably something I used back in the days where your opponent actually can hear your radio commands. So it's a bit of a fakey way to use the radio command, I remember, probably in 2004. Enough of old stories. The bioscript is something you can access here in the Fnatic MSI UI 2011. I'm buying everything manually, but I know many people use the bioscript, so feel free to edit that here. We're gonna move on to the mouse. Enable mouse look, which kind of is the +M look command in console. Enables you to look around with the mouse. Of course, everybody uses this. I wouldn't really touch the mouse filter. I think it puts a bit, not delay, but it kind of removes some of the precise movements you want to do with your mouse. It's try to make, try to kind of clean up, how to explain this? Basically, the mouse filter is trying to make precise movements for you, so it's kind of a help tool that cleans away some of the mouse movement you do. But as a professional, I don't think, or even a semi-professional or a aspiring professional, you shouldn't use this. You should rely on your own aim than Half-Life engine. That the Half-Life engine does it for you. Reverse mouse, some people do that. Use that. My sensitivity is 1. In Windows it was 6, as you saw. This is simply because I don't have a super low sense at all. I have actually pretty fast sensitivity, but I changed my settings on the mouse, which I can access back here. It's probably a mirror view here, but with my Sensei I can use it in the hardware instead, and that is optimized and fairly delayless. Sound you can change here. Not a lot to talk about, of course, but you want to have talking about the sound in Counter-Strike, you want to have decent amount, not too high sound, because you want to be able to hear your teammates in your voice comm, but you want to also be able to hear the enemies walking around on the map. So it's a balance you have to find, and please don't destroy your ears. I think I ruined my hearing a bit from having too high volume too many years. So try to find a balance between the sound, the volume, and the voice tool, and don't have too high. That's my tip. OpenGL is the English word I use, then I guess everybody uses. Not a lot to talk about. The resolution again, 640, 480. Make sure I have that when I get to a new computer. Running Windows is something I just have now when I have the streaming on. Color quality, you have to have it 32 to be legal. If you want to play Russians on Prac, you have 16-bit to play on the same grounds. Just kidding. I love you, Russians. Next interesting settings we're going to look at is the multiplayer tab. Having a small crosshair. This is kind of old. I actually have medium. Going to advanced, this first 4 or 5 bars is nothing you should change, because that will be considering tweaking. You can very well change the weapon alignment. I don't understand why I once started to use left-handed, because I'm right-handed myself. I think it's better to have it right-handed, but then again, I played for so long now, so I'm really used to it. But I guess right-handed is better. Center play names, I think that's important, so you can spot whether you have. I mean, you can see quickly whether you are having a opponent or a teammate in front of you, and that's something that is not for certain all the time. And it can be useful when you're kind of when you're peeking through smokes, etc. You don't see them through the smoke, but when you get close to them, you will see them, and also the name will appear. Radar type, I'm using the solid. I think that's preferable, because that me as an in-game leader, I have to keep track of all my teammates at all time. The transparent radar, it's kind of easy to miss some of your teammates when using that. We're gonna go OK here, and we're gonna bring up the console again. Might make it a bit bigger so you can see. We're gonna start to talk a bit about the net commands of Counter-Strike. And the net graph, we can put it up here now, but it's not legal normally. The next one will be the update rate. You will have 101 CMD rate, 101 interp 001, sorry. Rate 2500. And here you go. This is the optimized settings for Counter-Strike. Nothing I really need to add. People have asked me for years now which kind of net settings they need, but update rate 101, CMD rate 101, interp 001, rate 25,000. That's about it. And as you know, the net graph is not legal at the most tournaments. So if you want to make sure your FPS runs smoothly, just do show FPS 1, and in the top left corner you will see the your current frame rate. I'm gonna go to Dust 2 a bit. I'm gonna show you what I meant more with the grenades and also the radar. Of course, I don't have any teammates on the server right now, but we can play around with the. I'm gonna try to make it visible for you. So you see, I can switch between the grenades quickly because I have it on the quick binds. So let's say I want to smoke here, and then I want to put up a flash. I can easily do that. No problem whatsoever. What to talk about more? Yeah, we can talk about this auto pickup. This is something you are finding here, as far as I remember. Yeah, automatically switch to picked up weapons. I don't recommend this setting because sometimes, I mean, it's a matter of control, right? If you want to have full control of your game, you shouldn't have it. But if you feel like, yeah, I want to be pure aimer, I just want to run on a rifle and shoot as quick as I can without needing to press any key whatsoever, you should have it. But I think the most of the professional gamers don't use this. And the simple reason is because you want to have control. Let's say you are on an eco round, you just want to pick up the gun and just shoot a bit with the USP and then go and reload it, instead of just picking up a rifle without any bullets. So I recommend to have that off. I think that covers it in terms of settings, net config, net settings, how to bind your weapons, the radar, the auto pickup, and of course the NVIDIA graphic settings. What I will end this episode 6 with is a small tip that you might not know about, and this is a application that most of the professional gamers use today. Is the RI input, which I will eventually put on Fnatic.com, and this is a small software that is amazing if you have Windows 7 or Windows Vista, because in Windows Vista and Windows 7 there is some kind of software acceleration that you cannot get rid of any other way by having this tool or a similar tool. It's not visible now when I'm running around on the server, but if I play, let's say for 10 minutes, sometimes the acceleration will come, and you can never ever predict when it's gonna come. And this tool is really good to have, because it enables this. You will never get any acceleration. So unless you like the acceleration, I really recommend you download this tool, and you use it simply by entering it. Just use the zip browser you have and put it in a folder somewhere. You write hl.exe, and then you can start a game. This is something you have to do all the time, but it's also very important to use. So I think the most of the professional gamers use it today, and I can recommend everybody to use it, unless you like the acceleration in Windows Vista and Windows 7. I think that is about it for today. I want to thank you for watching. It was kind of new to me to explain this config and settings, but I think I covered it all. I want to ask you to follow me on Facebook to hear more about me and my videos. Of course, visiting Fnatic on Facebook, and of course Fnatic.com, where you can access all these videos at any given time. Fnatic.com is also the website you want to go to if you want to have the Fnatic MSI GUI and the input program I just talked about to remove the acceleration. And of course, read more about my team and my Fnatic's other squad at this site. That's about it for today. Thanks for watching, and happy fragging. See you soon.